Cruise critics are fucking idiots, and I probably am one as well.
What? A cruise critic, a fucking idiot! Most likely a fucking idiot, because as a cruise critic, you suck!
Me, attempting to being a cruise critic, probably I am a big fucking idiot. Don't get me wrong, cruise critics are a fundamental part of the cruising ecosystem. They are the way by which the cruise industry evolves. Just that many have a mindset that doesn't evolve. Let's dig in. But seriously, how many of you have done the following? You book your dream cruise, you're all excited, and then you turn to YouTube looking for information. And what do you get? Cruise critics. And suddenly, your dream cruise becomes a nightmare of nitpicking. I remember my own pre-cruise anxiety. I booked what I thought was an amazing cruise, my very first cruise, Celebrity Infinity. But then I started watching video after video. They all talked about how old the ship was. They called it an old rusty bucket of nails. All of their expert opinions started to seep into my head. I began to think my luxury cruise was going to be in Shanty Town, you know. The anxiety was real.
Yeah, Alex thought he was going to be sleeping in a rusty lifeboat.
Exactly. But then I boarded, and guess what? The expertise of the cruise critics vanished the moment I stepped on deck. The ship was beautiful, the experience was incredible, and I had the time of my life. I realized all that anxiety was for nothing. I had been pre-programmed by the cruise critics to look for flaws that didn't matter. And that's the core problem. The cruise critics aren't sailing for themselves, they're sailing to create a model. They left this ideal version of what a cruise should be, and they end up seeing everything through that lens. And every time that model conflicts with the reality of an actual cruise, the feelings, the laughter, and the unexpected moments of reality always win.
It's like they're trying to review a 5-star meal by only critiquing the tablecloth, which makes you want to stick the spoon into your eye socket.
They get so caught up in their own expertise that they lose sight of what an actual cruise is all about for the average person or for the first timer. They fall in love with their models and end up twisting reality to fit the model, instead of learning and letting reality change their model. And don't even get me started on reviews paid by the cruise companies. The best cruise line, the best cruise ship is the one I'm on right now. And I've never had a bad cruise since then. Now, before we go on, let me be crystal clear. This video is not an attack on a community. It's a critique on a specific mindset, a mindset of intellectual superiority and the lack of adaptation to new realities as the cruise industry evolves. This isn't about back in the good old days. We will never get rid of our smartphones. So there's no point of arguing about that. I'm not some bitter anti-critic. When I'm not cruising, I'm glued to my TV.
Glued to the TV.
Watching as many cruise channels as I can. It's how I keep my cruising memories alive. And so powerful that it feels that I'm on the cruise again, but without having to pay for it. I find myself drawn to the channels that let me feel or enhance the experience, that invite me to see the cruise through their eyes, not through a critic's checklist. My heart sinks a little when I click on a channel and all I get is a lecture on what's wrong. I know the negative stuff gets clicks, but I'd rather get lost in a good story than be told why a vacation I'm dreaming of is flawed. It's the difference between a storyteller and a scorecard. But what we're talking about today isn't just about cruise critics. This video follows a more generic but equally true reality. Intellectuals have a big problem. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but in a very real statistical way. And being one, at least, that was what was required of me on my life before retirement. I fully embrace this concept now. Think about it. 90% of fund managers cannot beat the market. Their entire purpose is to explicitly get better returns than the market, yet they fail. Or consider this, 90% of professional wine tasters are no better than random chance at identifying more expensive wines in a blind taste test. What the hell is going on here?
It's called I'm making it up as I go.
This phenomenon is all around us, and it's particularly relevant to us, the cruisers after 50, with our own lifetime of experience. We've seen this play out time and time again in different areas of life. Let me know in the comments when you found a cruise critic review that didn't just match your real life experience, but actually contradicted it. I'd love to hear your stories. It's why I just remember the phrase from my late past Uncle Fred that he told me more than 40 years ago. Alex, when you are talking to someone over 50, you are talking with a wise person. And he wasn't talking about book smarts. He was talking about precisely this, the unique and undeniable value of life experience. So let's dive into some specific examples. This is where the cruise critics model completely shatters against the immovable wall of reality. Critics, with all their supposed expertise, build a theoretical vision of what a perfect cruise should be. But when their perfect model collides with the messy reality of a real vacation, reality always wins. The best cruise line, the best cruise ship is the one I'm on right now. Let's talk about dining. A critic might laud a Michelin-starred chef's menu, but the reality for most families is that the buffet and main dining room are far more important and utilized. What happens when the amazing specialty restaurant is fully booked or the main dining room food is inconsistent? The critics often create this model of the perfect menu, and if the ship's offerings doesn't align with their expert palate, they'll write it off as boring or repetitive. I saw this on the Norwegian Viva just recently. The Avon restaurant's menu was getting a lot of flack for being always the same.
Oh, look, the chef dared to serve a classic dish. Again, the horror.
Exactly. My personal experience, I tried the risotto, which was critiqued as al dente, a very critic-oriented way of saying it was a little undercooked for my taste. Now, the old me, the one who listened to the critics, would have just grumbled and been disappointed. But the new me, the one who trusts my own experience, just asked. I talked with the maître d', Kevin, amazing person, and the next day, after she spoke with the kitchen staff, I had one of the best risottos I've ever eaten. The reality is, cruise ship staff are there to make your experience great, and they'll often go to the extra mile for you. Just ask. The unexpected moments of realities always wins. Critics might champion bespoke, independent tours, but for many, the convenience and safety of ship-organized excursions are paramount, even if they're less authentic. The critics often love to recommend these jam-packed all-day independent tours that hit every single landmark. And while it's important to be back at the ship on time, what they don't tell you is how to actually enjoy your day without stressing out.
But I have to see 17 different monuments and 2 marketplaces before my all aboard time. Must get all the photos.
My secret for independent tours? Well, I always book one that ends at least 4 hours before the all aboard time. This leaves plenty of time for delays, traffic, or just a relaxing stroll back to the ship. In Martinique, I booked a food tour with a wonderful guide named Christelle. Now, instead of us traveling to a bunch of restaurants and queuing up in all the places, she bought her own cooked local specialities and served each in different unique spots in the rainforest. It was a delicious, unique, and stress-free experience. Reality check: a great day is more important than a jam-packed itinerary. Let's talk about the onboard activities. The critics love to push niche activities, the intellectually stimulating stuff like the enrichment talks or high-end art auctions. While most cruises care most is about the pool deck availability, entertainment variety, or casino offerings. On my Panama Canal crossing, I did go and watch the talk about the history of the canal, which I'll admit is a must-do for the sheer information.
Attention, class! Today's lecture is on the history of the Panama Canal.
Exactly. I looked around the room during one of these talks, and while the information was all there, almost the entire audience was falling asleep. For them, a 2-hour lecture wasn't enriching, it was a 2-hour nap. All of that brilliant expert information could have been a quick YouTube. And those people could have been doing a fun quiz somewhere, actually enjoying their vacation. The reality is a cruise is about having fun, not sitting in a lecture hall. Well, at least I got out of it the idea for one of my fun videos about the Panama Canal. Oh, cabins. Don't even get me started on the models here. Critics will obsess over every tiny detail, the perfect west-facing balcony, the size of the shower, the position of the toilet paper, the distance from the elevator. It's ridiculous.
I have located a microscopic speck of dust on the toilet paper holder. The
Be
horror!
practical. We have a budget, we find a cabin, and we go. My first cruise on the old rusty bucket of nails. I committed the cardinal sin of booking, according to cruise critics, a guaranteed cabin. I got a very comfortable cabin, lots of storage space, a terrace with a beautiful view, all very clean, where we slept 3 of us comfortably. My only real practical advice: if you're a late sleeper, don't book a cabin directly below the pool deck. The sound of chairs moving around in the morning will wake you up. So, while I will concede that a good cabin is important, it's not the perfect theoretical cabin that is material. It's the one that works for you and your budget. You made it. You got a cabin. You're on a cruise. You're on the best cruise of your life. Finally, the hidden gems. Critics often seek out the hidden gems or exclusive experiences. Many of these are often impractical, inaccessible, or simply not what the average cruiser is looking for. Critics love to find these unique, photogenic spots that nobody else knows about. They build a model of a perfect photo opportunity.
Look at me! I'm an influencer! I found the perfect hidden spot. Now just 47 people need to get out of my frame.
Yeah, then everybody gets to know it. And I fell for this one. I wanted to get a fantastic Instagram shot. I spent 6 hours of my day tracking down this hidden gem, then queued up for ages just to get a 5-second window to take the picture without other people in the frame. The photo was great, I'll admit. But was it worth 6 hours of my life that I'll never get back? Reality check. Your vacation is more important than an Instagram photo. Now let's talk about the bigger picture. Why do critics get this so wrong? They get so obsessed with creating this ideal cruise model that they completely lose sight of what matters to the average person. But to be fair, they do it for a reason. The same reason intellectuals build models of reality everywhere else. Models are meant to help us. They're a simple way to take a million different data points, the food quality, the service, the cabin size, the entertainment, and collapse them into one easy-to-understand narrative. It allows critics to measure, categorize, and rank everything, giving us the illusion of a clear answer. This ship is a 7 out of 10. This one is a 9. And just like that, they've created a ranking system.
We always wore a suit and tie for dinner. How horrible to be relaxed during our vacation.
Exactly, but the problem is a model is only good until a better model comes along, and usually lacks the human factor. You are in a bad mood, 2 points go down the drain. And this is where it gets difficult for cruise critics, because it's almost impossible to include the human factor into their equations. They can't quantify the people who make a cruise great. Think about it. There are people on every cruise line who make a real difference. like our amazing bartender, who not only makes us the best cocktails, but keeps us in a constant flow of enjoyment at the bar. Is the unpredictable human factor that can turn a good bar into a great one. You can even see this in entertainment. Some cruise lines outsource their shows using a proven, predictable Broadway script. Nothing wrong with that. The quality is consistent. Well, there is. Because of the copyrights, we can't take a picture for our memories. But other lines focus on individual talent and create a show around it. A brilliant soprano, a unique dancer, a mind-blowing acrobat. Here, the unpredictable human factor brings unexpected, magical results that a model can't predict. And because there are usually not these copyright restrictions, we can take a picture and actually praise the artist and the cruise line in the process. Sometimes the human factor is so powerful it shatters the entire industry. Remember Richard Branson? He's a new type of passenger who had enough power to decide he was going to completely break the old model and create a new cruise line that didn't conform to anyone's expectations. Virgin Voyages was born. When these new directions appear, it's difficult for critics to understand the impact. Maybe a couple of years later.
We always wore a suit and tie for dinner. How horrible to be relaxed during our vacation.
Yeah, many of them just double down on their old models, refuse to adapt, and that, my friends, is why they are idiots. And this leads to the ultimate scene of the cruise critics. They fall in love with their own models and narratives. They'll get a kind of confirmation bias where they'll actively seek out highlighted information that proves their point, even if it's an isolated incident or doesn't reflect the overall experience.
Just need to add in the wind speed and a bigger tip.
Precisely. When reality does collide with their model, they don't adjust their perspective. Instead, they double down. They dismiss the contradictory evidence as an anomaly, or they find a way to twist it to fit their existing belief. This creates an echo chamber of sorts of expert opinions that are often completely detached from what a real person on a real vacation actually cares about. So, what's the takeaway from all of this? Should you ignore cruise critics? No, not really. Listen to what they have to say, but here's the crucial part. Don't allow their models to influence how you perceive your own experiences. Your happiness and enjoyment on board come from the way you live your vacation, not from a score on some critic's imaginary scale. Don't become a cruise critic yourself, judging other passengers for how they enjoy their time. And most importantly, don't let anyone tell you how you should enjoy your time. Remember the genius of life experience my uncle Fran talked about. Your perspective is the only one that truly matters for your vacation. And as I always say, the best cruise line, the best cruise ship is the one I'm on right now. And if you want to see a fucking idiot in action, click on this next video over here.